But yeah, here it is. I mean, budget 2024 statement on gender diversity and inclusion, as you do. From His Majesty the King and Right of Canada. All rights reserved. Didn't he die? Is he dead?
I don't know.
Officially not. So I
I
don't think
don't know.
we need to get into too much of this, but we might as well at least. Well, we should do the budget maybe, but let's do the at least the statement on gender equality. Here we go. Statement on gender equality, diversity, and inclusion. A foundational strength of Canada is its diversity. Since the 2016 Fall Economic Statement, our government has expressly included gender and diversity in the development of policy, taxation, and resource allocation decisions. The Canadian gender bender, the Canadian Gender Budgeting Act, which came into effect in December 2018, enshrined gender budgeting in legislation. This approach mandated reporting on the gender and diversity impacts for all new budget measures. How much does that cost?
Exactly.
For all new budget members in every budget cycle. Budget 2024 constitutes the fifth annual report. Canada's gender budgeting approach has yielded significant positive results and continues to evolve. So there's a little timeline.
Leveraging key strengths and identifying areas where improvements are most needed. I mean, that sounds like it was written by AI. It's just a bunch of words. I mean, where's the evidence here? What's going on?
And then none of it's really gender related. It does a little bit at the bottom, but I mean, the top ones like early learning and childcare, isn't that like just supporting families?
Yeah.
And
but then there's the federal LGBT.
Well, that's where it starts to come off the rails, right? And this is like Indian stuff, less to do with gender. But of course, there is the gender-based violence, which I'm probably even fine with that. Obviously, women do face probably a higher level of sexual violence. We should probably have a little bit of extra money in there to stop the rapey stuff. But the federal 2SLGBTQI plus action plan advances the rights and equality for two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and other sexually and gender diverse people in Canada.
What's advancing? What rights don't they have right now?
Well, I don't have to tell you.
I mean, it's a legitimate question. They're advancing the rights. Well, aren't we all equal? Aren't we all supposed to be equal? Or
they're more equal. So they're advancing their rights ahead of yours, mostly. They're moving them they're shuffling them out of the pile and moving them to the top. Okay, this starts with a focus on housing. Resolving Canada's housing crisis is critical for every generation and the most vulnerable Canadians. The government is building more community housing to make rent more affordable for lower income Canadians. So, assuming that income is related to gender, I mean, isn't this whole report just like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, it's just like stacking. It's like building on existing gender norms. This is terrible. This is sexist. It's assuming that women have less money and gays have less money because they're low income, because they're gay, or because they're chicks. Isn't that how this is coming off?
Oh, this is still in the same category?
Well, yeah, this is the whole report. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So lower income Canadians, they've just sort of brought in with now gays and women and Indians.
Yeah.
That's how I'm reading it.
Yeah.
As an Indian who's not gay. 618 million in federal housing, 15 billion in affordable housing, 1.5 billion in cooperative housing, and 4.4 billion in the Housing Accelerator Fund, which is really just a bunch of stuff they were doing anyway, which, as near as I can tell, didn't have anything to do with gay people or women. But it doesn't hurt to throw it on there. But now here, let's get into some actual stuff addressing homelessness encampments.
Which is this in the same thing, or now we're in a different?
No, this is the same statement on gender diversity and inclusion. This is we're on page 3.
Okay.
The segment is already going much longer than I expected. Addressing homelessness and encampment, which would reach those at most risk of homelessness, which include indigenous people, black and racialized people, and veterans. What? So black are more likely to be homeless, Indians more likely to be homeless, veterans more likely to be homeless. Maybe that's what the stats say. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with it, but I mean, by their own stuff, can they say that?
They can't even say homelessness anymore. How are they doing an official report without saying houselessness?
As an example, Indians represent, obviously, it doesn't say that. Indigenous people represent 5% of the total population, but account for 40% of shelter uses in Canada. Women, on the other hand, are more likely to experience hidden homelessness. Hey, I was fucking the one living in my car and in my office, not my ex-wife, but I digress. On the other hand, more likely to experience hidden homelessness as they tend to exhaust all informal supports and resources before seeking formal services. Dudes just go right away and like, give me a free place, please. Domestic violence is the leading cause of homelessness among women. Moreover, blah, blah, blah. Sheltering asylum claimants, which would provide safe and secure housing for the rising number of asylum seekers coming to Canada. Asylum claimants are a diverse population, which can include gays and blacks and racialized people.
To just throw everything in here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's just throw it all in. Make it a long report.
Protecting and expanding affordable housing would support households and core housing need and help them maintain good standard of living, blah, blah, blah. 7.7% of the Canadian population experienced a core housing need, with women and girls having a slightly higher incidence at 8.2 compared to men and boys at 7.1. Oh, holy jeez. Maybe the boys just didn't want to talk about it. Measures to save for a first down payment. I don't see how that's got anything to do with women or gays or blacks or Indians. Building apartments, bringing rents down. No. Crackdown on predatory lending. I don't know. I think we can probably move on from that. The pharmacare plan is really just for diabetes and birth control. I don't know. Should I be paying for birth control? Just fucking pull out or use a condom or don't have sex. You know, that's what we did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Local food infrastructure. 5% of the population. Local food infrastructure will benefit equity deserving populations, particularly Indians and blacks and women leading one-parent households. Nearly 43% of women in lone parent households and 1 in 4 children under 18 are food insecure. Over 39% of black households and 33% of off-reserve Indians report food insecurity. The Canadian Shellfish Sanitation Program would provide Indigenous communities with access to safe shellfish harvesting. Don't they have that already? Just by going to the ocean?
I don't know.
Launching the Canadian Disability Benefit would improve the quality of life for working age persons with disabilities who are more likely to face multiple compounding. I think that's $200 a month. So, yay. Anyway, do you see anything? Cracking down on junk fees would help strengthen consumer protections for Canadians and ensure fair and transparent pricing within the marketplace. This will help ensure that all Canadians, particularly those who are disproportionately impacted, like low-income Canadians, which I don't say here, but they've already said earlier, means Indians and blacks and women, yada, yada, yada. Good jobs, meaningful opportunities, blah, blah, blah. Empowering young entrepreneurs by adding 36% to their tax rate. Would target young entrepreneurs and aspiring business owners aged 18 to 39, including from various equity-deserving groups, such as entrepreneurs from official language minority communities and rural and remote communities, as well as women, blacks, and Indians, and newcomer entrepreneurs.
It's so hard to see all this because the economy is such a mess. Everybody's struggling. So I'm sure there's more people going to be added to this as we go along, right? So they're focusing on all this stuff when the system is fucked and it's a mess.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the gender results framework, a note on the methodology. I don't think we need to get into that.
No.
I think we could probably I want to see if there's a conclusion. Let's see if there's a conclusion. Oh, well, holy shit. This is a lot longer than I thought. Look, it just keeps going. The gender report goes on forever.
Well, that cost every household probably $50 to do that.